All right. Hello. Can you guys all hear me? Let me just make sure that this is actually live. Oops, I think we are. Okay. Okay. So, how crazy is this twist of events? And I know the internet and everyone is still sleuthing it out, and there are a lot of questions. And oh my gosh, I mean, you mama sleuths and daddy sleuths and all the sleuths are just so impressive. Like within, I don't know, like 45 minutes of me posting this, people were finding all these strange connections between this person. Claire Ayoub is the mystery declarant, and people were finding connections between her and Liz Plank. So let's just get right into it. Um, and this is what's really funny to me because I got this email on Friday. It was 1:30 my time. So this was it was 4:30 in the Southern District of New York, and they told me that these documents weren't gonna be unsealed until next week. So I thought that, like, we had to wait, and Monday is a holiday, so I thought we were not gonna find out until Tuesday. So these were the documents that are supposed to be unsealed, and as of right now, I still haven't seen the 806 unsealed, and also the recording still just says it has, like, a slip sheet still, so I'm not even sure how that's gonna come about. But this is our girl. Like, I thought it was Stephanie Jones. I did a whole video on it. I know some of you thought it was, Ari Emanuel. I mean, there was a lot of I have to say, there was a lot of really good theories, and I was so you know, I think a lot of people had a lot of good arguments, and I not until today did I know that anyone had actually brought up this Claire Ayoub person. And for those that don't know, because I definitely did not know. Here, let me put myself down. I think I can go like this. Yeah. So this is her movie, Empire Waste, which I've never even heard of. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but I know some people were saying that they heard of this. Oh, wait, let me go on the right screen. That some people have heard of this Rainn Wilson person. I guess they're friends with Baldoni. So people just, I guess this was not on a lot of people's radars, except for Lil Nomad, I think is the name. We're going to get to her post in a little bit because she's the only person I've seen, or her or him, that did say that they think it was this Claire Ayoub person. So here's the declaration. I don't know if you guys have already reread this, but we read it when it was redacted, and now it's not redacted. And let me just make sure you guys can still hear me. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's get back to this. So this is Claire Ayoub, and she says that she wrote and directed a film called Empire Waste, which was produced by Wayfarer Studios, LLC. Justin Baldoni, a founder of Wayfarer, was a producer. As part of my work on Empire Waste, I had repeated negative interactions with Mr. Baldoni and his associates, including verbal abuse by Mr. Baldoni. I asked Wayfarer that Mr. Baldoni not be permitted on set during the majority of production as a result of those experiences. We're going to come back to that because I read that I think production didn't wrap up like until 2021 or something. So, okay. She said Empire Waste was set to be released in the fall of 2024. In August of that year, remember, August of 2024 was like the most batshit crazy year. Oh God, I hope I don't know if I'm supposed to swear on YouTube, but like it was an insane month last year for everyone. So, in August of that year, as a result of my experiences with Mr. Baldoni and ongoing press coverage relating to Mr. Baldoni, and It Ends With Us, I requested that he not be involved in Empire Waste's marketing or public relations efforts. Wayfarer agreed to my request. So, she's saying because of these negative interactions, and again, I don't know, let me check the comments because I think you guys are really smart, but isn't it true that filming wrapped up in like 2021? So, why is it like coming out in 2024 that she doesn't feel comfortable with him being part of the production? And why is this the first time it's coming out? Maybe it's not, maybe there's more to it, but whatever, let's just keep going. It says, less than a week after reaching that agreement, I was contacted by the assistant to Steve Sarowitz, the co-founder and co-chairman of Wayfarer, to schedule a time for me and Mr. Sarowitz to speak. Mr. Sarowitz's assistant did not identify a topic for the meeting. I fear that Mr. Sarowitz wanted to discuss my recent request relating to Mr. Baldoni, worried that Mr. Sarowitz might pressure me to abandon the prior agreement that I had reached with Wayfarer. I recorded our meeting. I don't know why they would try to abandon it. I don't I think whatever. I guess that's how she thought. And then she said a true and correct copy of the recording produced in discovery as BL, so it means it came from, Blake Lively, is being submitted with this declaration as Exhibit 1. I declare under the penalty of perjury the foregoing is true and correct. So okay, and then it says dated, and then it says, September 4th, 2025 from New Canaan, Connecticut, which is interesting. We'll get there also. But so when we go back to the quote, let me see if I have that as my next slide. Oh, because something else. Yeah. So she says it's because of her interactions and the ongoing press coverage related to Mr. Baldoni, and it ends with us. And that's why that she didn't want him involved in the marketing or public relations. So, remember, he was getting a lot of bad press then, but like, was it really that? Or was it, did someone in Blake Lively's camp reach out? Because here's the footnote going back to the quote from her complaint. She says, this person has also had concerns with Mr. Baldoni, who they found to be verbally abusive, which resulted in him not being allowed on the set of the other project or involved in its marketing or publicity. So, I could see her being like, okay, well, he's getting all this like heat in the press. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any good comments. Like, if we're getting like this heat in the press, like why, I don't want his name associated, like, because it's coming out. And by the way, it came out on Van Sham Day on September 27th. So was that the reason, or like, did someone in Lively's camp reach out to her? Like, there does feel like there's this coordinated smear campaign, hit campaign on Wayfarer and Baldoni, but that's just how it's feeling to me. So if we go back to the declaration, because why would Blake and Ryan's name be brought up, even though it's not in the quotes? Sorry, not the declaration, the quote. If Mr. Lively and Mr. Reynolds, their name is not in this quote that the Lively put in this with the whatever part of the recording of Steve Sarowitz. So it's like, I'm just trying to think how this came up. Like, did she say, okay, so I'm worried about my film with Baldoni, like, was he trying to reassure her? Like, don't worry, like, even though there's these hit pieces against our studio, like, I'll defend us against people like Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Like, was there something to that effect? I don't know. And let me see what you guys think, because your guys' comments are great. Yeah, you didn't know Empire Waste, either did I. It had like, I think, let me see in the slides. I was trying to look at the reviews. It had like a 6 or something on IMDb, which seems pretty decent. And then, yeah, what constitutes verbal abuse? I would like to know that. Hello, mildly. Okay, she says, sadly, it sounded like a really good, positive, necessary movie about loving your body and fat phobia. Yeah, it did. I agree. And then Shannon says, ongoing press related to Baldoni sounds like it proves the smear campaign was against Baldoni. And that's what I'm saying too, because like, if this is for the 47, remember, she's using this for her 47.1 argument that she's supposed to get these like extreme treble damages and fees. And this is her evidence of that. I still don't see how it's connected at all. Hey, Just Khaleesi, thanks for showing up, you guys. And this one, how terrible of them to honor her request. I know. And it sounds like they did. And it sounds like they understood, like, okay, yeah, it could maybe be negative if we, they seem to have agreed, okay, he won't be part of the marketing or production. The marketing or PR efforts. And so far I haven't seen that he was. Miley says, the most interesting bit to me is she admits she recorded it and then sidesteps who gave it to Blake Lively was provided to. Oh, that's interesting. So let me go back to my slides. Yeah, because if I just like go back to the statement, like maybe if she was worried about something, I could see Sarowitz saying like, don't worry, like, the films are going to make money. It ends with us, despite what all this bad press, it is making money. Who knows? Because look at like that they put the timestamps of these quotes are all over the place, and that's not on Claire. Even though I have a lot of questions about her, this is on Lively's lawyers for doing it like this, and hopefully we get that transcript or recording. But I could see him saying like, don't worry, like your movie is going to still do well because I'm going to defend the studio. I could just see him as being a reassuring thing, in my opinion. Okay, so again, also, was this legal? I don't know because so Claire Ayoub has a YouTube channel, and in the description there, it says she lives in Brooklyn. In the when she signed this, apparently she signed it when she was in Connecticut. So who knows where she was when this recording happened? And more importantly, where was Steve Sarowitz? Because that will determine. I looked up the Connecticut one, and yeah, all parties are required to provide consent if she was in Connecticut. New York is one party, but we don't know where Sarowitz was. Oh, this was a link to her YouTube. We'll come back to that. Yeah, and then this was so she has a Substack, and again, this is just just a quick, stream just to open up the discussion about what's going on because there's going to be a lot of sleuthing, and I know that citizen journalist CJ, I asked her to come on with me because I know she's been sleuthing it out, and she said she might go on either really late tonight or Monday. And because I think she wants to get to the bottom of where exactly is the connection in the timeline. So I know there's going to be a lot more coming out, but anyway, she has a whole Substack if you guys want to go through it. And it looks like Empire Waste was released in theaters on Van Sham Day. Just the irony. This whole case, there's so ironic. Let me just see if there's any more questions or any more things in the comments before I get to the questions. Scarjo wasn't scared to put out a movie, or she wasn't scared to put out a movie under Wayfarer. I wonder why Blake Lively didn't reach out to her for comment. Well, I mean, maybe because, wasn't Scarjo with Ryan Reynolds first? And then Blake Lively, I don't know. That's what, I don't follow this before this case, but that's just what I've heard. And I know recently people have been, putting out recordings of Steve Sarowitz on different podcasts, and he had so many positive things to say about Scarlett Johansson, like how she was so down to earth, how she really showed up on set and worked really hard and was nice to everyone, and she didn't try to put on any front. I don't know if you guys heard this. It was from some podcast. I have to see where I saw that at, but it was funny because he calls the people. He said between his religion, the way the Baha'i faith is, it kind of is very different sometimes with the people that you interact with in Hollywood. And he was just saying that some of the people you come across in Hollywood are like bats. They just, I don't know. I'll have to link it in the comments because I'm not going to give you a good summary of it. But she wasn't a bat. He really liked her. And he also said Will Ferrell was a joy to work with. Hi, Kenny. She says, of course, it was a good movie if Wayfarer was backing it. Very true. Very true. And then Max Rebo says, declaration cannot be part of Blake Lively's lawsuit. It has nothing to do with it. And so that's filming. Well, I agree with that also. And I really do question why her lawyers, this was the best they got to say that the 47.1, it's supposed to protect survivors from retaliatory lawsuits. And so I don't know what this has nothing to do with what Lively experienced. Someone else, so they're saying this Claire person didn't want Baldoni to be part of the marketing for her movie because of the bad press he was getting for It Ends With Us. Oh, and also some verbal abuse. Okay, but you cut that in half, and the bad press for It Ends With Us, where was that coming from? Her, right? I don't think it was coming from Wayfarer's camp, so I don't know. I have a lot of questions. Just Snooping says her interpretation of verbal abuse must be the same as Blake's interpretation of SH, and I agree. I'm very curious about that because why wouldn't she have said? Because 2021 was that was more close towards the whole Me Too movement. So if there was really some sort of abuse, did she not say anything? I know the sleuths are going to be sleuthing, so I'm sure a timeline will be dug up sooner or later. Hello, Missy. There was definitely a smear campaign against Justin. Things were fine until the summer of 2024. That's what it seems like. Is she a serial recorder? I don't know. Is Illinois a two-part? No, Illinois I think is, yeah, it's two-party. I read that it was two-party, and that is where he generally is. That's what it seems like. So, and again, we don't really know because for some reason they left that part out. But and it makes the whole thing. It's like, was it even legal? And why did she decide to share the recording with Lively, or why did she decide sharing the recording with Lively was a good idea? You guys, I hope someone comes up with an answer for this, because the only thing I can come up with is that she was reached out to by someone. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of questions. Oh, mildly, you were worried about CJ. No, I know. She said that this was a very slammed week for her. So she can't go on until, sometime probably sometime this weekend we might see her, or maybe again on Monday. But this was like very, very slammed, busy week for her. But she's doing good. And she is on this. She has a mission. I'm not going to speak for her, but I have under the impression this will be her Roman Empire. And I'm so excited about that, because I love it when she slews for this case. So we'll see what happens. So let's just go back to my slides, because I have a few questions. So first question, does Claire know Lively? And then if so, when did Claire first speak with Lively? I'd be very curious whenever they first met. And then, if Empire Waste wrapped up filming in 2021, why did she need to address Baldoni's behavior in 2024? When did Claire first meet Liz Plank? And so I found one, I don't know if it's in my slides. I might have to add it. But I found one podcast where it was on a Substack, and it was Liz Plank. Let me see if it's on my slide. I don't think I put it on here. Hold on one second. Let me just add it real quick. Sorry, I know this looks really stupid, but here it is. Okay, so there was this random podcast where it says it was Liz Plank and V Sphere. I have no idea who that is. And this was in February of this year, and they just said thank you to all these random people. Claire Ayoub for tuning into his live video with Liz Plank. So, I mean, I don't know when they first met or anything like that, but again, the sleuths are going to sleuth. Let's go back to the questions. My other question, does Claire have any regrets? Because I don't know. Did she think that she was helping out a good cause or something? And, I definitely, if she did do this recording, was that prompted by her? Was that her idea? And then how did she feel that it was taken out of context? And now with all the discovery that's come out and how everything has unfolded in this case, does she still think that she was what she did was right? I mean, oh my God, if I was her, I would, I don't know, I'd want to come clean and correct the record. Claire and Justin seemed fine before and during the production of the movie. It's sus. Yeah, it seems very sus. California is also a two-party consent state. It is. Because I also, when I did my mini sleuthing of her, I also saw that, I mean, this is not verified, but that she also possibly could have lived in California at some point. I don't know if that's true, but if she did, I'm just wondering where she was when this recording happened in August of last year. Jurisdiction matters. I agree. House of Cheddar. Hello. She just tanked her career. I think so. I mean, unless she comes out, she can still correct it. I mean, everyone I've said that about has disappointed me. But she could still, make things right. She could be like, you know what? I was new to Hollywood, and these people from, Ryan Reynolds, or I don't know. I'm just saying if this was what happened, these people reached out to me and they had these concerns about him, and it just, I just felt like I was trying to help them out, and now I regret it because I think I was in the wrong. I don't know. I think, and then maybe she could show whatever prompted her to actually record Steve Sarowitz, and whatever prompted her to go this way. I would just be curious if she has the receipts, and show the receipts, and you can still make things right. Yes, mildly bats. Yeah, she called them bats. Khaleesi, did he mean vampires? He might have. He kind of shaded De Niro though. Oh, I don't know. I think it sounded like Wayfarer did or Steve Sarowitz. He said that the movie that he did Ezra or whatever, he said that it was good and we should check it out. And I think I didn't watch it because isn't it like 3 hours or something? Oh yeah, because Justin is all light, exactly. And sometimes he's so bright that it can scare some of the bats. That's what he said, Missy. Yep, I agree. Justin's biggest problem is he's pure light and that scares people who are in the dark. I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Shannon O says some people, so someone else made a complaint against Justin and no smear campaign was started against them. Yeah, good point. And exactly. So if Lively is trying to say with the 47.1, there was like a retaliatory smear campaign, and then this declaration proves that somehow, it actually doesn't, because like I'd never even heard of this person until this morning. Yes, I agree. I agree, just Khaleesi. Justin is authentic and that triggers some fake ass people. I mean, and that's just how Hollywood, it just seems like that's how a lot of Hollywood is, right? I wonder if Claire was jealous of Justin's movie and how well it performed. I mean, if any, like that's what's so crazy. If anything, it should give her confidence, like with how well it performed, despite what was going on. That it should give her confidence that she's backed by a studio that is going to back her movie and, protect it, like whatever that quote was, like how Israel protected against Hamas or whatever. I just think that she should, if anything, it should have had to me, that conversation with Sarowitz, even though we don't have it yet. But with that quote, I could see it meaning just like, don't worry, girl, we got your back. Like, even in the worst case scenario, when people are trying to allegedly like extort us, our movie still thrived and we're going to protect our studio. Hello, Eliza Little says Blake's team probably contacted everyone he worked with hoping for any bad conduct. And that sounds like a smear campaign, honestly, to me. And I know there's also like, isn't there strange rules about that? Well, I guess she's not the employer, so it doesn't matter, but I don't know. I mean, if that's true, I think that seems like it would be a problem, right? Has the internet, hi, just snooping. Has the internet done its thing yet and canceled Claire? I don't know. I have no idea if she's canceled yet, but I'm telling you, the internet is doing its thing because it's just like wildfire. Like, I'm not even caught up. Like, I made, what number slide are we on? Like, I made like 10 slides and there was already things coming out, like while I was doing this. So this is not like a deep dive or anything yet into who Claire is. It's just to open up the conversation and we can get into it. Sometime down the line, because I'm sure people are going to put this all together soon. I'm just glad she's okay. Okay. Oh yeah, she's good. CJ's great. And we'll definitely be hearing from her soon. Don't worry. Hey Joe, how are you? Maybe Blake threatened her. I don't know. I don't think anyone was threatened. Because a lot of people say like with the whole like, if it's true that she's kind of like a narcissist or whatever, that they love bomb kind of. And we've seen it in other cases. Like we've seen it with the Marilyn Manson case. And if you guys don't subscribe to Colonel Kurtz, is that how you say it? She did like a great thing on it, and how how it was almost like this like group brainwashing almost, to be like, okay, you dated him, didn't he try to like rack your brain, did he ever do something like this or like this? And then they put that movie together, Phoenix Rising, I think it was called, and then someone from it, one of the people from the complaint, she's like, all right, she's like, actually none of this is true. He was very respectful of me and I just said these things because I felt peer pressured and I thought I was helping a good cause. So oh, okay. Glad to have you in the chat, Kenny. Let's see what else. Okay. Hey, Nick Trades. Seems like when anyone has legal trouble, anyone with a grudge piles on. Ayoub's declaration, when quoted in TMZ, said would likely testify at trial, but it's BS hearsay and would not be allowed. Yeah, I mean, it is. And exactly. But if I was the defense, like if I was Wayfarer, I would almost kind of want to, I don't know. I never saw this name. Like, did she even sit for a deposition? I don't know why she would, but what, I just don't see what she has to do with any of this. But if anything, I would want to know, you know, what brought you to this lawsuit, Claire? Like, did anyone reach out to you? Was anything said to you? Like, how did this happen? Was something promised to you? Eliza Little says the judge needs to dismiss this already. And you know what? I agree. The whole 47.1 thing, and I'm going to have to probably do a separate video on all the other documents that dropped today. Well, that not dropped, but that were unsealed, because we had like the declaration of, I think, Danny Greenberg and her makeup artist, and there's other ones. And, it's funny because in almost all of those, they do say, like, where was this filming? Where did everything take place? New Jersey. So, like, what does any of that have to do with the 47.1, which is a California law? Like, why does Lively think that, she can just, like, use whatever jurisdiction, like, is, helps her in that moment? Like, one jurisdiction for damages, and then another jurisdiction to, like, she's saying New York for Judd Wallace to bring him into it, because, like, that is apparently the only way she could drag, like, all these other people into it with the tag and the case and Coslow. But then, she's trying to say, but California jurisdiction for all these fees and damages. And here's my proof of that. This person has nothing to do with anything. Claire Ayoub. Oh, thank you so much, Kenny. Yeah, if you guys want to like the stream, that'd be great. This is just like a totally, thrown together thing. And I hate doing that. I really like being prepared. So I kind of feel bad that this was just like a last minute thing. But, we had to talk about it. I was shook because I really thought it was Stephanie Jones. I just thought she had the most motive. And, congratulations, Claire Ayoub, because I look at you now as low as I look at Stephanie Jones, because I think this was very wrong and calculative and manipulative. And if you're brainwashed, come clean now, but you've had a lot of time to do that. So how much did she get paid? I don't know. Very curious. And I'm sure the sleuths will find out. The sleuths are going to find everything out. Maybe she has an axe to grind. Maybe. Hey, Christina. So when the mods, I absolutely love Christina. You're late but present. Well, don't worry. This was just a last minute thing. No one's late. Everyone's on time. Joe says, once she's of no use anymore, she'll be discarded by Blake and Ryan. And, I kind of have to agree. Like, we've seen, we've kind of seen that with other people. We've heard that from other people who've come out and said things allegedly. So I don't know. I'll be very curious to see, like, does she have something in the works with them? Shannon O says, it was one thing to record it that could be made right. It is another thing to sign an affidavit in support of 47.1. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, exactly. I just don't see the connection, and I don't see what her lawyers are doing. Like, good on her lawyers for, making money and having in my opinion, a fool for a client, and not being like, this is so stupid. What are you doing? Like, you're not going to be the face of this Me Too speak your truth law with this like nonsense. This doesn't prove anything. And remember, I mean, they had all of Jen Abel's data from her cell phone, and they couldn't find anything of a smear campaign. It's crazy. It is so crazy. And this is what they're using then. And even so, because in order for the 47.1 treble damages, it's not that it was a smear campaign. It was that she has to establish there's some sort of SH, and that they retaliated after she reported it. And like, I don't know. I haven't even completely dug into the whole FIHA, like EEOC complaint, CDR, timeline thing and whatever. That seems like a whole other can of worms. I mean, we could have like 100 people covering this case and still not cover all the BS of it. I doubt she'll do that. Just like See You Next Tuesday Junior won't. I know, Isabel Ferreira, or for whatever your name is, Ferreira, you broke my heart. Like, I really gave her I think I was like, gave her the benefit of the doubt, and like the rest of the internet like saw through her right away, and they're like, no. She's no good. And you know what? She is. And her lawyer, God, I hope he gets sanctioned by the bar. That was one of the most unhinged filings I've ever read. Let's see if there's any other questions. Christina, in this filing, it even says that part of the decision was due to the Blake stuff. I know it was due to some of the marketing of it, or sorry, for the, the hit pieces for the It Ends With Us, like that was going on in August. Justin is surrounded by all the wrong women in the business. I know. And you know what? Like, I feel so bad. I feel like they maybe just should start making movies with men or something only. Like, I don't know. It seems like, or they just need to bring someone else on who can just like read people better or back. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like they probably see, try to see all the good in everyone. And sometimes there's just evil, bad people. I would use an animal. I swear they're like the best litmus test. Like, just get an emotional support dog. And when you meet like when you do casting calls, I would bring it and see if the animal has a bad reaction to anyone, I would just think about it twice. That's just my opinion. I'm still crushed we were wrong, and I'm super pissed because they got someone else to ride the hate train, ride the hate Justin train. I know. And you know what? It's okay to be wrong. I think a lot of people had a lot of good arguments. And, I thought it was Stephanie Jones because I just thought that she had the most motive, in my opinion, at the time. Like, she was spiraling. So congratulations to Claire Ayoub for, standing there with Stephanie Jones. So she's not the only like really awful looking person in this case, in my opinion. They can stand next to each other. What is that thing that people got trending on Reddit? Like, Stephanie Jones shoplifts or something? I wonder what they'll come up with for Claire. I love and appreciate the grace you give people, DFJ. I think it's one of your best qualities. This is delayed because I got a phone call. Oh, don't worry. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, I do want people to be, I do believe a lot of people can be redeemable, but as we saw in this case too, some people just aren't. So I want to give her this Claire Ayoub person the benefit of the doubt, but like, when you really think about it, she's had a long time to kind of clear the air, and it just seems like she hasn't. She voluntarily did this. I believe so, Joe, because she said that she did the recording because in case they went back on their word about Justin not being involved in the marketing, which is like, that doesn't seem like something, scary. I mean, wouldn't you would have evidence if they brought him back into it? It would be like some sort of email or a phone call, or I don't know. It seems like there's more to this story that we're not hearing. Gigi, I don't troll, but I did lurk, and some people called her out in her Instagram comments. I think, as long as I think it's okay to talk about it. And I guess sometimes you have to embrace some of the trolls because it does help with the algorithm. She reminds me of Isabella, where she was okay during filming and messaged her support to Justin, but changed her mind later. I know. And that's what makes me think, like, did she get a phone call from someone that totally changed her memory of how the filming went? And just like, it's such a bummer, it really, Wayfarer and Baldoni, they're battling some really like dark spirits, but at the same time, I'm like, thank goodness it's them, because not everyone has the funds and the means and like the stomach even to fight back against some of these things. Like, lawsuits are draining, even small lawsuits. And this is a gigantic lawsuit. I mean, we're on filing almost like 900 now. And it's costing a lot of money. And thank God they're fighting it, because they're exposing all of the, what do they call it? All of the bad actors, in my opinion. Gigi says, I don't know what is worse, Blake love bombing or this woman backstabbing Justin in the studio who gave her the opportunity. I know that. And that part, it does break my heart. But, there's so much support for Wayfarer right now. And I know, like, even CJ the other day went to go see the that recent movie that just came out that Wayfarer has. I know, and a lot of people were supporting it and like literally going to the theaters to go see it and stuff. So Joe says, don't give her the traffic that she wants. Yeah. It just makes you wonder, you know. Missy says she doesn't think it's admissible, and that might be another reason why they use it, because they're like, well, this is a BS filing anyways to ask for 47.1 treble damages. So does it really matter? Like, we're using this as they're both going to be thrown out anyways. I don't know. But then again, you have to factor in Judge Lyman, and I don't know. I don't hide how I feel about Judge Lyman. I think, you know, he's I think he is compromised or biased or incompetent or all of the above. Not sure. Hey, Christy. Hey, Christy N. She says, hey, chat. Hi, DFJ. I'm home from surgery, so thank you for keeping me updated. Well, welcome home. I hope you have a quick recovery. And then Christina says, she says it has to do with the Blake stuff. Okay, let's go back. Are you saying in the, oops, here, it has to do with the Blake stuff. Are you saying about this part where she says that in August of that year, as a result of my experience with Baldoni and the ongoing press coverage related to Baldoni, and it ends with us, I requested he not be involved in Empire Waste marketing or public relations efforts. Wayfarer agreed to my request. God, they sound so awful. They agreed to her request. Was there a sleepover too, says Joe. And for those that don't remember, Isabella, I guess, had a sleepover, maybe more than one, I don't know, with Blake Lively. During this possible love bombing that got her to completely turn on Justin, who she originally had so many positive things to say about. Is the smear campaign in the room with you, Claire? I know. And is it? And she never says that like she was smeared. And also I'm very curious what this verbal abuse was. And then I'm also curious why she's saying him and his associates. I mean, it just seems like a lot, like a very loaded sentence in her declaration. And I just have some questions. Extortion was mentioned and I was hooked. Oh, yeah. Okay, so extortion was mentioned in one of the other filings. So we're either going to have to come back to that, or I'll make another video on it, or we'll do a part 2 on it. Because how long have I been going? Is there a timer on this thing? Well, I've been going like, almost 40 minutes. So, I don't want to bore anyone. But this was just, I thought this was a big bombshell, in my opinion, just that it was like, this person, was not on my radar. And I'm going to have to share my screen. Let's see if I can figure that out. Because I want to show you little Nomad's, is that her name? Her post. Let me get to it. And let me just make sure. Okay, you guys can see that? Cool. So she had clocked this Claire Ayoub person, and I don't know if any of you had a chance to read this, but we'll go through it. Right before we do that, I just want to see if there's any more comments, because I don't want to get too behind. I mean, honestly, you guys are so smart and you're the best and you have so much good insight. So it helps me move along as well, just to see what the chat's saying. Blake's basement has levels. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. Thank you, DFJ. Well, thank you, Khaleesi. Mildly says, I thought it was Stephanie Jones too. Stephanie Jones shoplifts. Yeah. Okay. So, and then I finally read or saw like where that originated, and supposedly on Reddit, anytime like Stephanie Jones was mentioned, remember, see my ticker, it says this is all allegedly and in my opinion, but allegedly anytime she was mentioned, there was like these like Reddit bots that were like, defending Stephanie or whatever. And so then they decided to do the Stephanie Jones shoplifts like hashtag, and saying that she like shoplifts with her Birkin bag. And I don't know, I guess because the bots like couldn't figure out how to respond to it or something. I don't know. You guys are just, whoever came up with that is it's genius. It's funny and it trended. And so now it's stuck. And it's just really funny. And then I guess the other part of that is like, did she shoplift discovery and people's personal data. Just questions that people have. I was hoping it was Stephanie Mother effing Jones too. I know, but don't worry. We haven't seen the end of her because her motion to dismiss like Abel's claims was just denied. So, and there was something about like if Abel, and I have to reread it again, but I think I heard Christy Floss say something like if Abel wins on her case against Lively, that, or sorry, if Abel or if Wayfarer like wins in their case against Lively, that Jones would end up having to pay Abel somehow. I don't know. Let me start. I'll have to do a whole like other post or video about that, but that just got me thinking too. It's just at some point Jones and Lively like aren't gonna. I think someone's gonna have to throw the other one under the bus at some point. Some of the best streams are off the cuff. We appreciate you as waiting for this group chat. I know, and that was part of the reason I wanted to do it. I'm just like, look, like let's just get our like put everything out there, get our initial thoughts together because this was. I don't know. The only person that apparently maybe saw this coming was little Nomad. So let me go back to that screen. Okay, so she says this is a thread on sleuthing that led her down the track for Claire Ayoub in under 48 hours after the redacted declaration was filed. She laid out the digital breadcrumbs she followed before diving into the screenshots. Read my statement and opinion on Ayoub, her betrayal of Justin Baldoni. And you guys definitely, like, if you want to look, subscribe to her. It's at Past Nomad. And she goes by Little Nomad. And so, okay, so let's look at this because she said she thinks, okay, so this was on September 11th. She says she thinks the mystery declaration is from Claire Ayoub, the director of Empire Waste. She says, I've been analyzing the Instagram posts and landed to this conclusion that there was this kind of fallout between Claire and Justin. The following are a result of my psycho sleuthing. Hey, sleuthing is sleuthing. You're not psycho. Maybe totally off, but here we go. General info. The film started pre-production in fall of 2021. Theatrical release was September 2024. Van Sham Day. In 2021, Claire was happily posting with Justin. On present day, none of them follow each other. Oh, that's interesting. So there's the first one. That is not Claire. I don't know who that is. She says, note the above photo must have been taken sometime in 2022. Sorry, let me go this. Justin was producer, so he was present on set at least during part of the production. And then this says, note the above photo must have been taken sometime in 2022. Okay, so fast forward to 2024 and theatrical release. It seems Justin is really missing from promotional work. For example, he did not even attend the Wayfarer theater event, but Steve did. Well, good on you for figuring that out, because I mean, I never even heard of this movie. And this says this is September 27th. Yeah, so that was the day, allegedly, of the theatrical release. At that time, Justin was in the US, but he did not attend the film premiere. He was a producer on. Maybe he was in the basement. Tellingly, on that day, Justin wrote a heartfelt post on his Instagram and spoke highly of the director. Well, isn't that big of him? You know, I'm just like, some of these, the way that like Wayfarer, like Justin and Steve and Jamie Heath act, I mean, they're just, you know, they rise above a lot of things. Like, I wouldn't be that big. I would just be like, God, like, I probably wouldn't want to support her anymore. But there was no acknowledgement from the director or producer, you know, similar to how he was talking highly of Blake Lively and the promo tour, but it was only one way. You know, she definitely clocked this. You know, kudos to Little Nomad for figuring this out. I have no idea who that is or what that is. And she says, okay, so for all these digital breadcrumbs, I think the mystery person may be Claire Ayoub. She worked with Baldoni, had a fallout, and requested he not be present on set for the majority of the production. It could be creative reasons. Oh, it cuts off there. And okay, and this is I think this part is worth reading. Okay, so she says, Justin Baldoni, let me just go to the comments before I get to that, because I want to make sure I'm not losing anyone. Christina says, right Eliza, it's an awesome group chat. It really is. Like, and I mean, you guys are just so sharp and you catch everything. Nothing gets by you. Milking her, pun intended. Oh my God. Mildly. Yes, because remember, Lively was you know, she was, what did she call it? Not milking. I'm spacing out now, but she wasn't breastfeeding either. Oh, she was pumping. That's right. She was pumping in her trailer. And again, and this is just my opinion. You know, I don't want to sound like a terrible person, but like, right after like someone has a kid, that's when she's saying that like, Justin and like his friend who was the gyno on the film, like you know, were like, that's when they were attracted to her, like when she was pumping. And I don't know. I think it's just a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. Like that, I don't know. I think it's a stretch to say that they were like all of a sudden like super attracted to her. Like, usually like right after you have a baby, I think it's a amazing thing and it's incredible what the woman's body does. But that's usually, I mean, when there's going to be like SH and I don't know, just I have a lot of questions. Missy says she thought it was Jones. What did she do wrong? She's eating crow. No, I think it's okay. I think the declaration had a lot of people just looking into things more. And so I feel like even if, I mean, I was wrong, I own it. But even if I was wrong, I'd still help me go back and dig into what Stephanie Jones was up to that like was part of her behavior during that time. Because honestly, I don't think we've seen the end of her. And the end of like what Blake and her will try to like, use in their case. Because I mean, they can't really, it doesn't seem like they have a lot of evidence to use. So I don't think we've seen the last of her. And I think that all that going back, I think it also helped. It helped me relook at the timeline and just kind of paint a picture of everything that was going on during that time. And again, if anyone knows what was going on in August of 2024 in the stars, like was Mercury in retrograde or something? Because it just seemed like a crazy month. Eliza says, that's why I'm so confused. How did her very expensive lawyers not get embarrassed by this? Well, it doesn't seem like they get embarrassed by anything. Because I feel like they've done a lot of things that I personally find embarrassing. Not just me. Wait, let me see if I can pull it up on my. Oh, this is gonna make me go back to my home. But even Nag said something funny about it. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Wait, let me see if I have this video. Because I even posted a clip of this. Because even Nag said that she thought, this one.
Them for continuing to litigate a case where they're making money. I personally would not have put my name on a letter saying I get to go first because I'm the plaintiff, because I think that's embarrassing.
So I'm just saying, I think that like them saying that they get to go first was also embarrassing. And the fact that, Nag thought it as well. I'm just saying. Yes, Khaleesi, animals can sense evil. And, I use them as a litmus test, like for, different people or visitors or whatever. And if I was Wayfarer, I would at least start doing that. And also, well, I have this whole other project, like we're trying to save like these other animals that this developer just bought land for. And hold on. Let me just make sure I turn off those notifications. Okay. And anyways, maybe they could do like maybe they can do like an adopt don't shop type thing. And I don't know. I would definitely have use a dog in their future casting to look at these people. They have a dog. It's a standard Labradoodle. Oh, they do have a dog. Okay. I didn't know that. Christina, my dog loves almost everyone, but there are some that she doesn't. So I stay away from them. Yeah, that's really smart. And I always trust them because they pick up on things that we miss. And then Just Snooping says, Justin is too good of a guy. He doesn't want to think badly of anyone. Well, I think he's going to maybe start thinking badly of some people. And I think that that's okay too. And I'm just putting this on the screen because I just think it's so funny. Stephanie Jones shoplifts. It is. And I don't know what Reddit it was, maybe it was like Team Baldoni or something, but they have like the graphic they made of it, and it is really funny. It has like a Birkin bag, and Joe Abad says, Eliza, it's all PR. Maybe Ayoub's PR saw an opportunity and told her, go mix your name in this shitty mess. Who was her PR? Do we know yet? Was it something to do with Liz Plank? I mean, and that's what CJ told me she's going to look into. She wants to know when Liz Plank and Claire Ayoub first met. So I'm sure we'll get that timeline pretty soon. Agree, but your go-to is Grace, and I respect that. Well, thank you mildly. I really appreciate that. It's manipulation, gaslighting, and love bombing. It gets you to believing stuff. Yeah, totally. And Just Snooping says we really need that recording. And I don't know if we're gonna get it yet because that one is still under seal. And so, but I have this feeling that Without a Crystal Ball is working on it. And I only say that because this week when I was calling the courthouse, so I had first sent them like an email to ask about the unsealing because they had unsealed like 814, but not the other ones. And then I didn't get a response. So I followed up. And so then I called and I just, just to be sure, because they do have that new protocol for the unsealing. And they said, and each day they kept telling me, oh yeah, we're working on it. It should be available soon. And then like, when was it? Not yesterday, like the day before when I called, they were like, oh, are you one of the attorneys? And I was like, no, I said I'm media, social media. And he's like, oh, Katie Paulson. And he's like, we're working on your email. So, and if for those that don't know, I think that's the name of Without a Crystal Ball. And I said, oh no, I was like, I'm not her. I was like, I'm a different one. I was like, DFJ, this is my email. And they had no idea who I was. They, even though I had sent like 3 emails, but I was very nice and polite. And so then, yeah, like I said, on Friday, the one I shared with you guys, the last email I got from them was that like, okay, check back next week. And then here we are Saturday, and somehow these are unsealed. So, but what I was going to say back to the recording is that I have a feeling that Without a Crystal Ball was maybe working on getting that. But I don't know. But that was just like what I took away from that. House of Chatter, it's wrong that Blake can bring so much destruction. It is. It really is. And so that's why, just to turn it into a positive, I just thank God that, like, I don't think that she thought that she was going to get any pushback, that anyone could ever fight back against them. In my opinion, I don't know if Lively or Ryan have ever lost ever, with these tactics. And in my opinion, I don't think Van Sham was the first time that they've used that method with people. And so I just think that, thank goodness, like Wayfarer is exposing this, and that they were able to have the means again to fight back, because who knows how many more victims there could have been down the line. And now this is all being exposed. Kenny says, this is the first lawsuit I've ever followed, and it's a lot. Wow. If this is the first lawsuit, this is quite the introduction. I mean, it's just like, it is huge. And, if you guys look at my ex, like I've been covering trials since back with like the Johnny Depp days, the Idaho 4. And, typically it's a little more easy to follow. And this one, I mean, that's why we say it's a saga, because the amount of shoot-offs from this case, from like, just the Lively versus Wayfarer, then you have the Jones and Abel, and then you have like the content creators that were subpoenaed. Then you have like the Perez going to court. And then, I mean, it's a lot. I'll say that, because I've definitely followed a lot of cases, and this one is wild. And the amount of downloads I have and screenshots I have from this case, like I really want to clean up my computer because I have so many screenshots from this stupid case. Because when you post on X, you have to do it as a screenshot. I wish you could just like upload the freaking PDF. That'd be great. Wow, we had 72 people watching. That's so awesome. Mildly says Blake's middle name should be Collateral Damage. I agree. Eliza says, and for Hollywood, they are a diamond in the rough when it comes to being really good people. Yeah. And, just another part of this too was the fact that, Judge Lyman's brother is in Hollywood, Doug Lyman. And then we learned that their father was a big time Hollywood lawyer. So even like the judge, it just seems is kind of, maybe maybe had some biases and maybe should have recused himself, in my opinion, from this case. I just think it's too close. And then not just that, but like, have you guys checked out Cassidy's videos, like exposing the finances, like the financial conflicts of interest? I mean, it's insane. She dug up so much and it's like, but whatever, he's being exposed too, I guess. Missy says it was a PR filing, hearsay, nothing to do with it, ends with us and Blake. And I'll be really interested to see what we start seeing in the press now that this has been unsealed, because I don't know if anyone saw this coming, that it was going to be unsealed on a Saturday. I definitely didn't see that coming. As Perez would say, corrupt, bias, and ethical, bought and paid for in her pocket. Oh my God, Perez has the best one-liners. Yeah, the ethically challenged Ezra, it's amazing. Oh my gosh, as Khaleesi says, I prefer Blake Smear Brown Lively. Bathroom Burrito Lively. And she didn't even put any examples of what he said. I know. So maybe that's in the recording. I'd be very curious. And I have a feeling we're going to hear that soon. Okay, good. Kenny says you guys aren't bored, but you said that was a long time ago. Wow, I'm so behind on the chat. I wonder if you guys are bored now. We needed this, DFJ. Thank you for giving us a place to vent. Yeah, you guys vent all you want. Like, this is crazy. Aaron Perez is a goat. Okay, you're going to have to remind me who that is because I don't remember. Christina says, right, Missy, this weekend there aren't many lives, and not only are we all into the case, but it gives us a place to gather as well. Yeah, welcome. Everyone, come one, come all. And I love hearing everyone's input too, because I just think that there is so much going on that it really benefits everyone just to hear what everyone has to say. And Abel is indemnified by Jones, basically. Yeah. And, that was a case that, because I definitely have been covering, the Jones part of it, because in my opinion, Jones started this whole mess. I really feel like she started it. I do not think Lively even knew who Wayfarer's PR was, like when this before this started, until Jones, in my opinion, was spiraling and then got fired Abel 2 days before her 6 weeks was up, that when she had given notice, and then took her phone and then got all these texts, and then somehow convinced Lively to fight for her. And Madly says, I'm so happy Jen is winning. Me too. I think that case is going to be really important to follow also. And there's a lot more that can be said about that case too, for how, your data is handled on, company computers and stuff. Because I know California already does have laws for that. And I'm just curious what the hell Jones was thinking doing what she did. Hi, Jane. She says, I think it says if Blake wins, Jones has to pay Abel's attorney's fees. And I think that's what it says too. How wild is that? So now, does Jones want Blake to win? Probably not. So what's going to happen there? I don't know. I think things are going to get crazy. Mildly says Claire got moosed. Okay, let me scroll down more. All right, ACC says she's not bored either. You heard about the extortion earlier, but haven't had a chance to look at the filing. Would love to hear that on this stream. Okay, I'm going to get to that. All right, let's finish up with this little Nomad one. Sorry, I get so excited with the comments. Okay, so will be the last on what Lil Nomad said, how she clocked this before a lot of people. Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios took a massive risk investing in Claire Ayoub, despite her having no prior directorial experience of feature films. She admitted that as indie screenwriter, others rejected her the moment they learned she wanted to direct her own script. But Wayfarer believed in her, gave her a platform, money, and resources to turn her dream into reality by bringing Empire Waste to life. And how did she repay them? With public betrayal. She did bite the hand that fed her. Ooh. Okay, blind to her own hypocrisy, Ayoub is the poster child for the radical left, where ideology trumps integrity and moral principles are sacrificed at the altar of performative activism. Well, I would say, just like a side note there, radical. I think both. There could be radicals on both sides. I think that would still qualify. Her advocacy for free Palestine and women's empowerment ring hollow when there is ignorance to the core and soul of those causes, the fight against oppression. By choosing the Hollywood mafia, she aligned herself not with the oppressed. She became part of what she claimed to resist. So, yeah, I think that was a pretty powerful statement by her. And again, she has a whole thread if you guys want to look more into that. Let me go, because like ACC asked, let's just quickly look at the other. Okay, because this was my thread on it. So first I put, Claire Ayoub. I was like, who, I wasn't really thinking when I posted this. I'm just like, who the F is Claire Ayoub? I probably should have Googled her before I said that, but I was just like, who the F is she? Okay, so we have a few unsealed docs. So this was Vivian Baker. And this was just part of the deposition. And the part that they really wanted us to know about was where she was asked, you described for us in response to Ms. Bender's question, several incidents that you characterize, I believe, as inappropriate. Did all of those incidents occur during the first phase of filming? And she says that would be correct. Hold on. Okay, so sorry, let me just see something. Why are these not in order? Okay, I actually don't know what the purpose of that one was. I'm sorry. I thought it had to do with it being in New Jersey. Did I post those out of order? The witness says, I did not witness that. No. You told us that you were prepared for this deposition by having at least one meeting with your lawyers, and I think a couple of Zoom calls. Yes. At no time am I asking for it. Okay. So I actually have no idea what that's about. Sorry. Here was another thing that was unsealed, though. So this was one of the footnotes. It says that Baldoni's WME William Morris Endeavor agent, Danny Greenberg, testified about Lively's ongoing complaint about creative aspects of the film and her actions to hijack control of the film through threats, which he viewed as extortion, including threats that she would not return to the set unless she was given control over the script and editing. Ooh, mic drop. And so that was the start of it. And then here is the rest of it. Where they talk about the extortion. And hold on one sec. I'm just going to get a sip of water, and I want to just keep going. I want to catch up on the chat. I'm like 15 minutes behind. And I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so ACC says they're charging the phone. They're listening. Yeah, Kenny, sorry. She said poor DFJ is behind on the comments. I know, because it's hard, like, because you have to switch screens, like when you're sharing screen to read things. So like, actually, I could probably pull out the window and then see the comments, right? While I'm sharing the screen. Well, if she's doing comments, then I have a chance to catch up because I am 3.5 minutes behind. Oh, yeah, don't worry. I mean, this has just been a lot of freestyling and just, conversations, and it was a chat and, documents and reading things. Kenny's the first time I've paid attention to pretrial updates. Usually I just pay attention to the trials when they're going on. And just a side note on that, because this is a federal case, we are not going to be able to see the trial. Like, it's not going to be streamed. There's no cameras in federal courts, which is a whole nother subject. And sorry, I'm going to mute myself for 1 second because I'm just going to get some water. Okay. Yeah, so I really do hope that in my lifetime I get to see there be cameras in federal courts, because I think it's a disservice to justice. Like, why would we only have them in state courts and not even all state courts? I mean, Pennsylvania, Ellen Greenberg, Pennsylvania is like one of the states that for some reason still doesn't allow cameras in courts. And I think they were trying to pass something there to change that. But I think that it's part of justice. Like, we should everything. We should be able to see everything. And we are lucky that we've been able to listen in on some of the calls, some of those, the side hearings, even though, the last one was a total disaster, technology wise. Okay, I'm just going to speed up a little bit. Christina says, this is so fun. This is the only reason I try to catch up. Oh, thank you, Christina. We're so lucky to have a mod like Christina here, by the way, because like she supports everyone and she's always been encouraging to me to come on. So thank you for being with us. Okay, so I think I'm caught up. Is no one allowed? Oh, in the courtroom? No. So you can be in the courtroom. And so, for example, I don't know if anyone was following the Diddy trial, but there were people in the courtroom. So you can have people in the courtroom. And they can come back and report. So I have a feeling there's going to be it ends with us like Team Truth group of people who might go out to New York so that they can report if this goes to trial. I think that would be really important, especially to counter, some of the PR things that come out, because that's like what we saw with the Depp v. Heard case. And in that case, at least it was streamed. It was state court. It was in Virginia. And we got to see that. And that was one of my first experiences really seeing how, what fake news was, because I watched every second of that trial. And then when I would see what was being reported in the media, including ones that like I used to respect, like the New York Times or the Washington Post or, even Rolling Stone magazine. And it was like, I don't know what they were watching. It was like a total different, they obviously, to me, in my opinion, weren't watching the trial. Maybe they were just, writing up a press release or trying to further some sort of narrative because they hopped on, Team Heard before they even saw the trial. So, okay. Laura is getting a much needed break, says Christina. Yeah, Laura was at it. You both are just awesome, and I appreciate both of you. So okay, so let's get to the breaker of trolls, says Khaleesi. Yes, maybe that will be the outro today. We'll do that song. Tiffany says, can anyone show up and go to the trial? I would to try and go at least for part. Yeah, you can. And sometimes there is a limit. So like, for example, with the Diddy trial, there's line sitters in New York. There's actually a company you can even call to help line sit. It just depends on what time the trial is at and like what time you're allowed to line up. And people get in line because only a certain amount of people. And so for a case like this, ideally there would be an overflow room so that like almost everyone could get in, but you just never know with this Judge Lyman. I can't really predict any of that. And another example, like, remember CJ was at Perez's hearing for his subpoena in Nevada. That was a federal court. So we couldn't watch it, but thank God she was in there and her notes were just fantastic. She took amazing notes and then came back after and reported things to us so that we would know what's going on. Eliza Little says that Dave Neal's going, oh yeah, I heard that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will go. I mean, I probably can't go. But I will be supporting from here. And until then, I will be supporting as much as possible to get all these documents and stuff to you. Probably have to go to the basement if court is full. The only time I've heard that was for the Mahendra Patel trial. They had a basement. But sometimes there is an overflow room. So a lot of these big cases, there could be an overflow room. So like if you guys are looking to take a trip in March, I think is when this is supposed to start, and you want to be there for the trial, you think about going to New York. Yeah, we love us some CJ. Shout out to CJ. I know she's not here. She's super busy, but still want to give her some love. Judge Lyman is going to book the smallest of rooms to protect his baby. I could see that too. And then Christina says popcorn still has theirs towards the end of the month. Yeah, in Florida, and it just sucks because it's federal. Because Florida is one of my favorite to cover trials. Because yeah, they have cameras in their courtroom in Florida. Their filings are some of some of the easiest filings to get. They have a really great sunshine laws in Florida, and they also have a lot of really crazy people. And some of the craziest cases I've heard of come out of Florida, so it goes hand in hand, you know. Kate says opportunity of a lifetime by Wayfarer for her movie. It was. So I'm just really curious, you know. I'm just really curious what got Claire to, you know, to do this for Lively. And at some point, right, she had to have met Lively. And right at this stage, I haven't sleuthed that out yet, like when they first met, but I know the internet's going to do its thing and we're going to learn soon. And that'll be awesome. Christina says, in the Diddy case, the front people are making $1,000 to line sit. Yeah. I mean, that was wild. And there's other cases too. Like, do you guys know Andrea? The other lawyer on YouTube. I just forgot her last name. But she did like the Indiana case. Richard, I'm totally spacing out right now. But anyways, do you guys know what I'm talking about? The one with the bridge with the two girls. I think that was in Indiana. Anyways, but that was like, it was like super cold there. And like that judge was awful. And they wouldn't let recording in the courtroom. So like they had to like sleep out basically like in the freezing cold and basically camp just to get in the courtroom and take notes for that case. That one was wild. Jane says, has CJ been online lately? I haven't heard from her in a while. Oh yeah. She was on X today. I mean, she is definitely wants to find out when Liz Plank and Claire Ayoub became friends. She had a really, really busy week this week. So she had to, she wasn't able to stream, but she's looking to come back, I think either like this weekend or Monday. So don't worry. We're going to see CJ soon. And she has a link if she's here. I sent her a link to come on for this stream, because that's my girl. And I know that this was like a big deal to her too. So if she had a chance, she said that she would come on, but I think we'll probably end up seeing her like maybe Monday. Yeah, CJ reporting live. CJ did awesome from the courthouse. That was amazing. How did it not get quashed yet? Oh, the one in Florida. Good question. I don't know. And there has been so much going on with this case. And then also, I had to take like a little break because of things that were how hectic and crazy things were going on here in my personal life. And so I haven't even read the latest filings for Andy's. I don't know if he reads them on Popcorn on his channel. I'm sure he does, but I really should read those because I think he has a great case. I mean, it's the last of the content creators that I know of that is still fighting one of her subpoenas. And I think she's gonna end up having to drop that, in my opinion. That's what I think. Andy needs to hire the ACLU. Yeah, the ACLU came to help Perez, and that was in Nevada, and they have really strong shield laws in Nevada. And I think the ACLU in Nevada definitely was very vested in this case, because he is a local reporter there. I don't know, and I have no idea how the one in Florida is. I know they're all different. I know people that actually work there. And I just have to say, the ACLU, I have questions. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it there. There's some good and there's some not good. Okay. Let's go back. Should I finish this one? Do you guys want me to read this extortion one that Danny Greenberg said? And then we can call it a day and you can do your things. I don't even know how to do a poll. I was going to do a poll on here, but whatever. I'll just read the chat. Okay. So do you guys want me to still read this? Hey, Jesse and Max. Good to see you. Missy says, there's a lot of things that have been dumped today. We're going to need another live. Seriously. There is definitely a lot. And it wasn't expected, as far as I knew, because Monday's a court holiday, federal court holidays, Columbus Day. So I thought we weren't going to get any of this till Tuesday, to be honest. Blake wants info he obtained for his documentary. None of your business, Blake. I am not a bot. How are you doing? And I agree with you. Yeah. I think that's what it is. They all seem personal and they seem to try to silence people. Okay, so you guys say read it. Okay. All right. Let me read it. And hold on one second. I'm just going to sip of water. Okay. And let me just make sure this is on the first page. Okay. So this is the deposition of Danny Greenberg about Lively's alleged extortion. Okay, so the question, so visiting a client, which is what I do, and my clients are directing films. Okay, and again, remember, he's the WME agent, okay? So, okay, question. By the way, where was the film shot? Let's stick with the first phase of filming, if you know. In New Jersey, I believe. And what is that, you guys? They're establishing, again, jurisdiction. Because remember, she's trying to say jurisdiction for Jed Wallace is in New York, but jurisdiction for the 47.1 damages is California. And, it looks like it was Ellen. Yeah, basically just saying it. And we're seeing these in a lot of the depositions. She's asking right away, where's jurisdiction? It's New Jersey. Where was this film? New Jersey. Okay, very briefly, let's mark as Exhibit 3, another one of your chats. This one, Bates stamp WME 510 through 511, also dated November 14th, 2023. And then question by Ellen. She says, okay, and on this one, the second dark blue box about the 2/3 of the way down, it's a message from you to Baldoni to Mr. Heath, rather. Is that correct? Answer. So let's see here. Question. I guess my question is answer. So what's your question? Question, is that one directed to Mr. Heath or Mr. Baldoni? And he says, it looks like that one was a conversation between Justin and me. Okay, and you say to Mr. Baldoni, yep, and I'm there to have your back and remind you, not that you need me to, that you are the man and you are going to crush this. That you are partners, it was theirs too. Perrin, i.e., you want to mention this morning event, their acknowledgement of the continued extortion and effort to gain control of the films. At the time you sent these suggestions, At the time you sent these suggestions for a letter to Sony you sent to Mr. Baldoni, had you had discussions with anyone at Sony about Miss Lively's effective attempts at extortion? And then Miss Leader, I guess is when his counsel, object to the form. And then Danny says, I had ongoing conversations with Ange Giannetti, the executive on the project, about the behavior that Blake was displaying along the way. And at this point in time, what was on the table was the premiere issue. And then Ellen says, you were choosing your words very carefully, weren't you? Objection, blah, blah. The witness says, I don't remember my state of mind when I wrote the letter. And then Ellen says, is it your practice to choose why you are words carefully when conveying an important message? And he says, I do my best. And she says, and you use the word extortion in this chat, suggesting to Mr. Baldoni what he might write to Sony, correct? And then there's an objection from the lawyer. And the witness says, yes, it's in the next text. And then Ellen says, that's a pretty strong word, isn't it? And we get another objection. And then he says, it felt appropriate at the moment. And then Ellen says, you anticipated my next question. Thank you. Then you go on to say, but don't in any way put Sony on the defensive or indict them. Then if you can be contrite in some capacity, very briefly, acknowledging the two of you had your moments which she would dissect your energy, word choice, and personality, frequently that led to mutual discomfort working with one another. Parentheses, not everyone gets along kind of thing. Not all personalities are compatible. Now, when you were suggesting to Mr. Baldoni that he write something to Sony saying, other people have agreements or downplaying the agreements, did you believe that Mr. Baldoni was taking Miss Lively's conduct too seriously? Objection. And he says, I'm not really following the question. And she says, okay, I'll withdraw it. You use the word extortion, correct? He says, yes. Sounds to me like you believed at the time of this chat, July 26, 2024. So you guys keep that day in mind because we have to go back and check that at some point. That It was more than just ordinary incompatibility between Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lively. Is that a true statement? Objection. And he says, I think my use of the word extortion there was referencing just cumulative behavior that both the studio and Wayfarer and Justin was having to manage. And so that's why I use that word. And then she says, that would be more than just a disagreement between two different personalities, wouldn't it, Mr. Greenberg? He says, well, the personalities, again, I think the text speaks for itself, but I think they were not getting along. And I think it's important. I was suggesting to Justin that he just be, and then that's all we got from that. So I'm just like, if blown away, the fact that and does anyone know, is that still his agent to this day? Do we know that? Joe says Greenberg was the 8 a.m. deposition. Was it? This was the WME agent. I think you're thinking of the Sony executive was also at 8 a.m., right? A different day? I don't know. Khalees says, thanks, DFJ. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, that'd be awesome. If you guys want to like or subscribe. This is I cover this case a lot. And then Missy says, I can't type today. Okay. Oh, so he probably says something up here. And then I'm Not a Bot says, didn't ACLU support Amber Heard? They did. That's what I'm saying. And I can't really, I don't want to, give away my source or anything, but I know someone there that says that a lot, there's a portion of the ACLU that wants to do right. And then there's a portion that's all about the fundraising and the publicity. So they don't always choose maybe the cases, for good. Maybe they choose the cases that will bring a lot of publicity or money. But that's just allegedly. Oh, I'm Not a Bot says, no, he was fired from WME agent and Justin was fired. Oh, he was fired? Is he suing them too? I'm so curious. God, this case, there's so much with this case. Oh, okay, yes, that was Sony exec. And then Tiffany says, I'm so curious about Sony and all of these. They are skating by. I agree. And I don't know if you guys if anyone here watched my my video on when I thought Stephanie Jones was the person who did the declaration, but the very end of that, because when I went back and was looking through everything, let me just see if I can find it real quick. I'm going to remove this. That's what CJ taught me to do so that you guys don't see what I'm doing behind the scenes. I just want to find that page for you guys because I thought it was important. When I went back to look, okay, so I can share this tab instead. And let me go down here and let me just make this bigger. Oops. So do you see down here? Let me just make sure you can see it. Yeah. Okay. So she says, Abel and Heath asked the executives to clarify what exactly Wayfarer, Baldoni, and Heath were being asked to take accountability for. They admitted that Lively and Reynolds were simply upset by how social media turned against them. Stunningly, the executive, this is Sony executive, the executive admitted. Can you guys see that? I just want to make sure you guys can see that on the screen. The executive admitted that Lively and Reynolds brought the backlash on themselves. So it just said, I thought that, I was like, God, why isn't this a bigger story? So there is some executive, we don't know who, but this is in I think this is the first amended complaint. It says the executive admitted that Lively and Reynolds brought that marketing backlash on themselves. So I don't know who that was. And let me just go back to this screen and see if there's anything else. Oh, the Warren Zavala one. Okay, so let me share this tab instead. Christina says the ACLU gave Perez the accommodation. Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. The ACLU in Nevada, absolutely incredible that they stepped in and they said they are going to represent him if she ever tries to subpoena him again. Because they don't know if that's the end of it. Just because she withdrew it now doesn't mean she might not withdraw or might not bring it up again later. She definitely, it just seemed, to me, it seemed more like a grudge thing and to try to silence him. And to be honest, I do miss him reading his like crazy letters to the court. Not crazy, but his very pro se letters to the court. I thought, he did so good and brought so much attention, I think, onto this case and things that needed to be addressed in this case. And so, yeah, kudos to that ACLU. Okay, and then I'm not a bot just says Greenberg was WME, so he's Justin's former agent. Yeah, because isn't Stephanie Jones's current husband, maybe only husband, I don't know. Jason Hodes, isn't he also a WME agent or really high up? Greenstein left Sony and went to Paramount. Oh, that's interesting. Christina says Perez is good press for them right now. Oh, awesome press. And he did so good. He had a great argument, and I just liked seeing how things went down in that Nevada court because that was like the way things were supposed to go down. It seemed like a very reasonable judge. It'd be interesting to see how this case would have gone down if there had been a very reasonable judge. But it is what it is. They have one of the best appellate lawyers possible, with having Shapiro on board now for Wayfarer. So, Lyman's on notice, in my opinion. It's like everything he does, she's going to be clocking it. And I don't know what their next move is. If they are going to eventually, like after this part is settled, after the Lively v. Wayfarer settled, if they're going to appeal the dismissed claims, or I really don't know what their angle is going to be. I don't know if they're tired of fighting yet. I mean, again, lawsuits can take so much out of you, but so far, I mean, they're doing so good, and it does suck. Like, I kind of feel their lawyers maybe how like the Karen Reed lawyers maybe felt, where they were getting like nothing going their way and they still prevailed. But sometimes you just got to keep taking the punches and getting back up. And I think they've been doing great. Yes. Okay. So that's what I thought. Stephanie Jones' husband. Yeah. Jason Hodes. He's like an exec, right? At WME. Just, this case is so crazy. Blake hates Perez. All the nicknames he came up with are just hilarious. They sent me, and not even just for her lawyers too. I think he's very creative. And I think he did a fantastic job. Yeah, I agree with Christina. You said that was a fun watch, made more fun by his nicknames. I mean, just great nicknames. His exhibits, like the plantation wedding. He did so good. Jesse and Max says he's a JonesWorks partner. Okay, so a partner. That's like even higher up. Jason Hodes, Brent Montgomery, and Stephanie Jones control and own JonesWorks. That is very interesting. They did amazing, Karen Reed's lawyers. I mean, they really did. And, I didn't totally follow that case, so I really tried, though. I really did, because it just seemed like it had so much interest, and I don't know what it was. I think also like the Lori Daybell case was going on around the same time. And like, funny enough, 2 of the Lori Daybell trials finished like before the Karen Reed one did. I really tried, but it was a lot. Like, and I just didn't have the total capacity to like stick with it. But afterwards, I saw a lot of the interviews with her lawyers, and I had so much respect for them. And like, one of them, I think, does do boxing like on the side. And so he was just saying sometimes, for these cases, you just feel like a lot of things aren't going your way, and he just looks at it like boxing, just like get back up and just keep going and keep your eye on the prize. And I think that this team of lawyers that Wayfarer has I see them being very good at that. I think it's a very balanced team, a very, very, very sharp, smart team. And I do think they see what's going on here. And I don't know if maybe it's their first time being with like a judge this, like, in my opinion, stupid and incompetent. And they might have to dumb some things down for him, because I feel like he misses a lot of things, like basic things. I don't know if they ever gonna have to present their filings like as a freaking coloring book to him or something. I don't know. But I think they're gonna have to be very careful how they, present things to him, because I don't think he's picking up everything that's happening. That judge was as bad as, would you think that he was as, or she was as bad as Lyman, or do you think Lyman's worse? Because I have to say, like, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the worst judge I've ever seen is in California. Her name's Judge Laura Pasaglia, and she's in Sonoma County. I think she's absolutely awful. And right now, I would say her and Lyman are neck and neck. I haven't seen anyone worse than her. I have heard a lot of bad things about the judge in the Karen Reed case. I don't know. Didn't they call her like auntie or something? Oh, that's so true. Sudeep says that Perez got an award from the ACLU. Also, his kids are so sweet. And you know what? I bet he didn't have to pay for that award. Like some people just saying like the Time Magazine award or whatever award, that it feels like some people might have had to pay for some of those awards, but he got it for his legit what he did and fighting for free speech. So good on Perez. Mia says, I think the Kardashians show needs to be removed. Well, okay. I mean, I don't know what that is in relation to, but I agree. And I've said it, I think it was on Van Sham Day when there was a stream that I did with Cassidy and Leanne, and she mentioned like not wanting to see things on your X feed. And I was saying at some point there was like so much Kardashian on my feed, and I was like, how do you get rid of it? And I looked into it, and you can actually add, if you go into your like settings on X, you can go into like privacy or whatever, and you can add words that like you don't want to see on your feed. So I put like all the Kardashian, anything related to Kardashian on there, because like I was like, what? It has nothing to do with I don't know how the algorithm was pushing that on me when I covered trials, and I have no interest in that trash. In my opinion, I think that whatever, they could probably do good things, but I have a mission when I'm on X. I'm trying to like do my cases. I don't excuse his past, but people can grow and change, and I agree. And I don't know everything about his past, but I'm just saying, like in this case, like when people do right, you have to applaud them for doing right. We can't just be canceling everyone, or there's going to be no one left. And on that note, Christina, and that's what I'm saying about this Claire person. It's like, I don't know what got her to this point, but if she wants to step back, I feel like that in general, the public people want to like, forgive if she comes out and is honest and does the right thing and hashtag team truth. I feel like she could come out of this okay. But I said the same thing with Isabella, and she totally disappointed me. So I have like I'm not getting my hopes up at all. Jesse and Max said it's 2 back-to-back posts. He is a genius. Okay, I'm going to have to look into that. We are going to need a video about that lawyer. Oh, the one from the Karen Reed. Okay. Yeah, and I just feel bad doing that because like I'm not I didn't watch the trial, but I did like watching the interviews that they did afterwards, and I thought it was very relatable. Oh, so you think that the judge is just as bad? She was lawyering for the Commonwealth and did whatever she could to make sure practically nothing got in to help Karen Reed. And and Karen Reed still prevailed. Wow, so you think she's just as bad? And that's what I see here. I feel like Lyman has been lawyering for Lively this whole time, and it's a huge problem I have with him. And one of the reasons why, I think that he's been very biased. And even when he does help her, she doesn't listen. Like he told her exactly what to do if she wanted to establish jurisdiction for Jed Wallace after he dismissed her case against him the first, and then she refiled, and then she didn't do anything he said. Christina says she was saying accommodation. I gotcha. Kay Bella, hello. She says, I don't think Lyman has any concept of celebrities or social media. The Karen Reed judge was honestly just corrupt. Well, I don't know. I just know that like on social media, there was like the two sides for that trial, like was so contentious and whatever. And so I'm glad I didn't get too much into it, but I'm just saying I liked that. I liked the interview I saw with the lawyers afterwards. So Max Rebo says, with all the bad press Blake Lively is having with the lawsuit, I expect Ryan will want out soon. She is ruining his brand. So that's interesting because I've asked some people, like I know some people that are kind of like, really in Hollywood. And one of them told me that like Lively is like pretty much done. Like no one really wants to touch her, but he said that Ryan will be just fine. So, but they're not following this case as closely, but he just says that like Ryan actually, I think he said something like he actually has like skill or something or talent, and his movies make money. So we'll see what happens with that. They also could be trauma bonded and stay together. I mean, he's not getting any younger, so I don't know if he's going to have a bunch of girls chase after him. They have 4 kids. Christina says she's totally ruining his brand. K-Ball says, can I get rid of Taylor Swift news on my YouTube? Because, man, I'm so sick of everything about her right now. I don't know about YouTube because sometimes they give me the weirdest things and it really annoys me when they like suggest things for me that are old because I like to just kind of stay with current stuff unless I'm digging for something from a while ago. They always will like do that and like try to push and I pay for premium and they'll try to push clips on me that are like from a long time ago, and it's so annoying. So I don't know how to fix that, but I do know on X there is in the settings you can put in words that you don't want to see. So you could do it on your X if you use that. Okay. And Missy, this is a good point. You said that's my problem with lifetime appointments, though, and Lyman doesn't even understand the technology surrounding this case. I know. I really think that like judges every year should have some sort of like mandatory, where like a mandatory class where they have to just keep up to date with what like current technology is, because I really felt that when I was reading when he dismissed like Jen Abel's claims. I mean, they're dismissed without prejudice so she can refile, but I just felt like some of the things were way over his head. So I agree with that. And I think that when, Jen Abel refiles, that she's going to have to be very like really dumb it down. Girly C says, hi, everyone. I'm late. Well, welcome. I'm going to be wrapping up. I think I've been going for like an hour, 40 minutes, and I feel bad. And I really I want you guys to come back if I ever do this again. So I don't want you to get bored. And there was one more filing. I could do it. Should I do it on a different video or do you guys want it now? Let me just see it real quick. If this is still, yeah, I'm still sharing. Okay. Because this was the last one that was unsealed, and it was the deposition of Warren Zavala. And oops. Do you guys remember who that even was? Because I'm spacing out right now who that was. Christina says, the ones here live for lives. Okay, cool. I mean, and I don't want to step on toes either. Like if other people are coming on. Okay, hold on one. Okay, so does anyone remember who Warren Zavala is? Let me just look it up real quick. Okay, Warren Zavala is he an actor or producer? I don't know. Okay, Bella says, thanks, guys. I'm going to screen grab your advice and try them all because I'm not trying to be rude about anything about Taylor. I just need a break from her. That is totally valid. Completely valid. Christina says, having a weekend live is extra awesome, DFJ. And I've heard both. And like some people say like, not to stream on the weekend because, it's during the week when there's more people. And I don't really care because I'm, smaller anyway. So I'm happy with anyone who comes, even if it's just our little crew here. Oh, Mildly, you're so sweet. She says, and this one is fabulous. Okay. So Oh, and now we have Suntoppable. How are you doing? Hello. Okay, so I'll just read this last one, and then you guys, we can call it a day if you want. Does anyone remember who this is? This Warren Zavala? I think he's an actor. Oh, he's a talent agent. Okay. Got it. All right, so let's read his real quick. Oh, Khaleesi, you're so awesome. It's up to you when you want to stream. Someone is always here. That's really sweet. Okay. Oh, here, yeah, mildly knows it. It was his talent agent. I thought the other guy, the WME one, was the talent agent. So is this a new talent agent? Oh, that's so funny. Kibella said, "Hi, loves. I told my mom this is my Blake support group." It is. Team Truth is a support group because, like I said, it takes a village. All right, so I'll shut up. Let me just go to this. Okay, so this is Warren Zavala, and this was one of the other things unsealed. So just going to object to the extent it calls for speculation. Okay, so Ellen says, okay, we don't do speaking objections, but just objection is sufficient. Can you please read back the question for Mr. Zavala? And then they read the question and he says, I don't know. So she says, do you know if that September, strike that, do you know whether Miss Lively's written agreement provides for her to have a role in the editing of the movie? He says, I do not. And then I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Do you know where the movie was filmed? Yes. Where? New Jersey. And what is that, you guys? Again, jurisdiction. We're seeing it with all of these, deposition drops that we're getting. You know, jurisdiction seems like it was New Jersey. Where were you ever on the set during filming? He says, I was. How frequently? I went twice, which is one more time than I've ever gone to any set in 24 years. And she says, is there a reason? Oops. And he says, uh-oh, are these out of order? Is there a reason? This was page 28. Okay. So I guess it just jumps ahead. So they're showing a different part. So we don't actually get to hear the rest of that. Okay. So then she says, okay, are you aware of any incidents that made Miss Lively uncomfortable during the second phase of filming? He says, no. Your second visit to the set occurred during the second phase of filming, correct? He says, correct. And everything seemed to be going well to your observation during the second visit, correct? He says, yes, correct. Did you personally hear any complaints from Miss Lively during the second phase of filming? He says, yes, in the post process around this testing of the cut of the film. Okay, other than an issue relating to a testing of a cut of the film that Miss Lively didn't know about, any other complaints you heard from Miss Lively during the second phase of filming? He says, from that point forward, yes, there was definitely issues in terms of her interaction, I think, with Justin and their collaboration in the final stage of post-production. She says, okay, tell me what you know specifically. And then that was it. So I guess the main part of this that was unsealed was that, were you aware of any incidents? And he says, no. And that the main thing was that, like, you know, she didn't like that they, remember, because there was like, she made her own like editing of the film. And then remember, like, they showed hers at some screening and they showed like Wayfarers at some screening. And then they got feedback and people liked Wayfarers better, but like she still showed her. I don't know. It just got so messy. So I think that was it. Says, you're so sweet. Glad to see you back on YouTube. Ooh, fingers crossed that the audio recording coming out today. And again, I mean, I think if anyone's going to have it, I think it might be without a crystal ball. That's just what I got based on when I called the court and they asked if I was her. Because as of now, and I'll double check for you guys right this second. It still says Exhibit 1 audio recording has been filed under seal. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get the recording. Oops, this is the wrong one. I don't think we're going to be getting, or at least I don't think we'll be getting it through like Court Listener or Pacer. I think like you have to actually get it through the court. This is what it says right now, like when you look it up. But yeah, that's like all the craziness. We'll just end. We'll go through the comments and see if there's anything else. Ken's has some really good investigative pieces on Lyman. Okay, yeah. I mean, Ken's did awesome too with the Taylor Swift subpoena thing, the guy who was like arrested, because there was like wild stuff coming out on X, like people posting even like a different like, police police record and pictures of a person that was like apparently not the same person. And since Ken's is from Kansas, like she was able to get us the receipts. And I mean, she did awesome. I have a lot of respect for the bedazzled spatula. Ever since she was like subpoenaed, I'm so glad. It sucks that she was subpoenaed, but I'm glad she was, because like she I think she's incredible, and I've really enjoyed following her. Mildly says Blake's WME agent. I thought, oh, you think that was Blake's WME agent? Okay, that makes sense. Warren. Okay, so he was with WME. Well, so again, and like I thought that was interesting what we just read in the deposition part, where he said like normally he only goes on sets like once, and the first time in 24 years he had to go on set twice. So obviously there was issues, or he was during the filming of It Ends With Us. Missy says they didn't know that she didn't know about. She's just the actress. Unbelievable. I know, exactly. And there's other people who have gone through like her contract that was also unsealed. I think that's filing 814. So you guys definitely, like, if you're still interested in more of the sleuthing, I mean, people have really gone through that. And there are people that understand like the FEHA and the EEOC and the CRD, like all, and her contract, like all those things much better than me. And I'm still not like totally caught up on all of it, but there's so much to this case. Mrs. Busted Canoe of Biscuits says, hi, friends. Boy, am I late. I know we are wrapping up, but we're still happy you're here and part of Replay Crew. Mildly says, one guy is Blake's WME dude, one is Justin's WME dude, formerly. I'm Not a Bot says, NAG, LGA, and BB actually are doing a live tomorrow. Okay. Not sure if it's on YouTube or TikTok or both. Well, the last time that NAG and LGA's little girl attorney, NAG is not actually golden. Last time they did a live, it was NAG put it on YouTube. So we should be able to see it there no matter where they do it. But I think last time they did it, maybe I think on TikTok. Tiffany says, I love Ken's and her motion for sanctions is getting reviewed right now. I think is what she said. Oh, I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah. And again, we have like everyday like content creators who still have stuff sitting on this docket. Like they are asked for protective orders. They asked for sanctions against Lively's attorney. They asked for protective orders against Blake, subpoenaing them again. And we haven't, just Lyman has completely ignored all of that, which I just think is very interesting. Mildly says, LGA said she'll post the reply. I asked, can't dual stream yet. So TikTok. Okay. Or the replay. Sorry. She'll post the replay. So that's what they did last time. They streamed live on TikTok and then they posted the replay. Who is BB? Yeah, actually, I don't know. I have no idea. Notice that all the unsealed info just makes Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds look worse. It seems like Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds were trying everything to get anyone on their side early on and got that director, Claudia or whatever, to even record. I know. And I would just be so interested to know, what prompted her to do that? Oh, BB Bushbirds, maybe? Yeah, maybe that's it. Mildly. But anyways, I really appreciate you all like coming here today and streaming, or not streaming with me, but chatting with me for the stream, because you're just as a huge part of the stream and this case. And I absolutely love going through this case with everyone. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I added. And did we go through and we finished my questions, right? All my questions. Yeah, does Claire have any regrets? Where was Sarowitz when the meeting was recorded? Is it legal? And why does Lively think this helps her 47.1 fees argument? Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know. I have no idea, Claire, like how you got here, why you're here. Do you regret being here? Man, that was definitely a surprise. And we'll see what happens. There's going to be so much more. I guarantee you the internet's going to do its thing. And I'm pretty sure. So just keep looking out on X. And if I do a part 2 of this or whatever, I'll post on YouTube. But I just want to say, yeah, thank you to the mod. Thank you to Christina for joining and being a mod and being so supportive. And thank you to everyone in the chat. I hope you have incredible weekends. And for those with the Monday off, I hope you have a good, holiday weekend. And I will definitely be talking to all y'all on X soon. All right. Bye, everyone.